Officially live. Hello, everybody. My name is Wes.
And I'm Lori.
And today you're joining us for a registrations live stream.
Yeah, buddy.
So we're going to be talking about everything registrations. I'm super excited. I was able to get Lori in on this, have some fun. So Lori, our support manager here at ChurchTrac, when she's not busy answering all the questions, occasionally she'll join me in for these webinars. And so here we go. Now, before we get started, I just want to remind everybody of a couple things. First and foremost, if you have not checked out our YouTube channel, you totally should. That is such a great place to check out over 150 videos we have now, Lori.
That is nuts.
Yeah, it's a lot of videos. Our team is pumping out so many great videos. There's a couple of you on there as well. So if you're like me and you don't like to read to learn how to do things, you'd rather watch a video, I admit it, I'm that way, so YouTube is for you. And another way of getting support that's not even actually officially support, but it's our Facebook group.
Yes.
Tell them about the Facebook group, Lori.
So our Facebook group is amazing. It's actually manned and answered by ChurchTrac users. We, the support team, don't actually have anything to do with that. That is actually done all by our users. It's absolutely amazing, and there's some wonderful ideas on our Facebook page.
And I'll drop the link to our Facebook group in the chat. So if you have not yet joined our Facebook group and you're on Facebook, you'd like to be a part of it, there's the link so you can join in.
I actually told somebody about it this weekend when I was doing support on Sunday. Yeah. The question was, where can I get, information? And I was like, oh, you need to check out our Facebook page because it's really amazing. I learned things on our Facebook page.
Yes. Well, the creativity that we see with people making their Church Connect pages and figuring out cool stuff to do with calendars and registrations like we're going to be talking about today. Now, if you're officially needing help, by the way, that green help button, anytime you're using the software, you click that green help button in the top right. That brings your drop down where you can look at all help topics or ask us a question. We even have phone support where you can schedule a phone call with our team. So lots of ways to get help. All right, well, let's get to the content at hand today, Lori, and that is talking about registrations. So we're going to cover three things.
Okay.
Just three things. I like to keep it simple because I'm a simple man.
Three things.
So the three things you're going to learn is, number one, we're going to talk about creating an event registration from start to finish.
And it's not that complicated.
If I can do it, you can do it. So we're going to start with there. And then we're going to talk about sharing your event registration because at the end of the day, we need to actually share the registrations with our people if we want them to attend an event we have going on, and walk through what that looks like. Mm-hmm. Lori's going to register for an event right here on the phone to show exactly how you do that.
If I can do it, anybody can do it.
And then we'll finish things off with managing the event because there's so much more, Lori, to just having an event go on and everything, but being able to manage it, being able to reach out to our registrants, not only during or before,
and
but
follow
after.
Up. The follow-up is amazing.
Yes, we kind of nerded out on this earlier today, and we were prepping for this because I was like, man, there's just so much cool stuff you can do after the event and reaching out to all of our people. So we'll talk about some of that. So let me know in the chat. By the way, this chat is wide open, and we'll leave it wide open during this whole time. Lori occasionally will answer some questions if you see some, but we'll have dedicated time of Q&A at the very end.
Right.
So if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, you're not going to have access to this chat. It's only on the Vimeo channel here for this live stream. But yeah, let us know what kind of events that your church is wanting to create. So are you wanting to create? We're going to be showing a fall festival today because I love fall festivals.
With chili cook-off.
Yes.
That's important. Yeah. I'd never heard of a fall festival with a chili cook-off, but...
Where have you been?
Oh, the answers to that question.
Well, more than fall festivals, though. But, I mean, we've got, if churches are doing VBS.
Absolutely.
Churches are doing some sort of, maybe Bible study, supper, whatever it may be.
We just started a ladies' Bible study, and I went through the registration for that. So,
there you go.
I mean, it's so cool because there's... Well, let's just get started and tell you about it.
Let's go into it, yeah. But let us know in chat what kind of events you're wanting to use registrations for. And just an FYI, this whole registrations thing, you do need to be on the current standard or plus plan to have access to those features. Okay, so I'm logging into ChurchTrac, and where we get to events and registrations and all the good stuff is on the event screen in ChurchTrac. And so I'm logged in here. It looks like we had a pool party. That's fun. So for me to create an event, I go ahead and I select the date that I want to create the event for. So we're talking about a fall festival, Lori, so I got to make a fall festival.
October.
October. Well, of course, it has to be October. I can't do a fall festival anytime but October. So let's make it October 29th. So I'll click that. and we're going to call this Fall Fest. And we're going to say this is not an all-day event, as cool as that would be. And it will start at 5 o'clock p.m.
I was going to say 5. Yeah.
And it will end when everyone leaves. No, I'm just
Ew.
kidding. We'll have a dedicated
Or the
time.
ambulance is coming.
Because of the chili, which we'll
Right.
talk about later. Okay, so we've got all that. And then we need to pick a location. So we'll say the location is in the front field of the church. And as far as calendars go, you can select what calendar you want to apply it to. I'm just going to say master calendar. Now, Lori, should I publish it to my public calendar yet? Or?
Don't do that yet. You want to build your event before you actually stick it out there for people to look at. Because if you're in the process, they're going to be like, what's going on? And you don't want those questions. So go
Cool.
ahead.
All right. So we'll go ahead and move along. So we're ready to set up registration for this event. We have additional event options, but that's for another time, another day. So set up registration for this event. And now I am ready to start the process here. So Lori, we have the first option is who can register for this event? Anyone or Connect users. So what does that mean?
Okay, so for the anyone, that's anyone you want to attend. They can be a part of your database. They can be a part of your community. They can register regardless of their status. Or Church Connect users, well, we really don't want a fall festival just limited to people who go to your church because that's not really fun and it's not community outreach. So let's do anyone, Wes.
All right, so anyone can register for this. They don't have to have a Church Connect account. All right, so step 2, tell me what's going on.
So in step 2, you're actually going to choose, you have a single account method, count as in 1, 2, 3, 4, or a detailed method. The simple is I'm just registering me. So I'm the only one signing up. I'm the only one going. That's all we're doing.
Okay.
Account method, which allows you to enter, when you sign up, it's you and whomever else you're bringing based on a number.
Okay.
Okay. And then detailed, this is what you would use if you're collecting payments or you're signing up for a potluck or something like that, where you need more information about who's coming, ages, shirt sizes, dishes they're bringing, da-da-da-da-da,
So
details.
when I think of a detailed event, I'm thinking like almost like a VBS or like youth camp for the summer because I need to get all the information of each specific person, stuff
Or
like
a
that.
women's retreat.
Yeah, so like Dan and Tricia are saying there, retreats. So retreats are a big one for that. So for this particular event, since we're doing a fall fest, we don't need detailed because really at the end of the day, we just want to know how many people are coming so we know how many hot dogs and stuff to buy, right?
I'm going to throw something in there about detailed, Wes.
Okay.
Detailed also can be if you're collecting a payment for something. So if you need to
Yes.
take a payment for a t-shirt or for a retreat or for whatever.
For multiple people.
Yeah, for multiple people, you want to use that detailed method, and you must be using the Stripe connected online giving option to use that feature.
Perfect. All right. So let's do count
1, 2, 3, 4.
and enable registration. All right. Now we're ready to rock. Now, again, we have this option to publish this event
Not
to a
yet.
public calendar, but not yet. So now the next step is we have attendee types and cost and form questions. So attendee types and cost. Now for this particular event, Lori, we really just have one attendee type and there's no cost for our fall festival. And we'll show another registration a little later where we'll show you how to do attendee types. But basically you can select payment methods, whether it's do not ask, flexible payment, payment required, or ask for donation. And then you can create different attendee types. So you could have like adult or child, or you could have like attendee or maybe like volunteer, things like that.
Right.
So
The role you might play on that event as well.
So we'll go ahead, we'll close that for now because we don't need to worry about that. But let's talk about form questions. So by default, we ask for the name and email address of every registrant. Now, in some cases, that may be all you want to ask.
Right. Well, how many? In this case, we want to know how many's coming, but the whole point of this, Wes, is so that we have some point of contact. We want to be able to reach out to you to remind you of the event,
Yeah.
or God forbid something happens and we have to cancel the event
Yes.
or move it to another day or something like that. So you need this information. In support, we get this question, why do I need that information? Well, I just told you. I mean, here in Florida, we have hurricanes. It's
Yes.
still hurricane season in October. But up north, you have snowstorms. And out in west, you have snowstorms. So
Yeah.
I mean, you got to move it, you got to move it.
And sometimes events need to be rescheduled or moved to a different location and stuff. And so being able to reach out to the registrants, let them know, hey, we were going to do this outside. We're actually going to do this inside at this building. Can't
Right.
wait to see you there. Whatever.
Exactly.
All right. So what I want to do here, Lori, I want to ask a few questions beyond just name and email. And obviously, since we're doing a count, the system's automatically going to ask how many additional people the registrant wants to bring. So we don't have to worry about that because it's built in. But I'm going to go ahead and ask a question. And here's what's cool is we have all these different questions you can ask. Everything from a short text to yes or no, sign up quantity, toggle switch. I mean, there's so many here. I don't even have time to go through all of them. And then we have these pre-built ones, which I really love. We even have a potluck sign up one, which makes it super easy to just create that and everything so I can have enough mac and cheese and not run out.
Fried chicken.
Well,
It's all
you
about
can't
the
run
fried
out
chicken.
a fried chicken, mac and cheese, and for me, I like collard greens. So,
Dude, preach.
yes. But all right, we don't need to worry about potluck for this event, but we do want to ask for the phone number. I do want to ask for that, and so we'll add that field, and we'll require that field. So every person that registers, and then I can edit this too.
Right.
So maybe I can say cell/phone number. That way we can kind of put in people's minds we really want their cell phone number primarily, but just in case. And then from here I can add another question. And let's say, okay, we're having a chili cook-off at our Fall Fest, Lori. So I am going to put a yes or no option. And I am going to ask, will you be bringing chili for the cook-off? One of these days I'll actually be able to type faster and type correctly, but until that day, all right, question mark, because it is a question, so I'll add this field. And so that's just a yes or no question. Will you be bringing chili to the cook-off required? And I'll tell you what, we're going to do another field. This is kind of a joke, but sort of kind of serious because our chili cook-offs at my church are kind of nuts. We're going to add another question, and we'll pull from the pre-built field.
Is this are you gonna say, are you bringing Tums or, antacids provided?
This is even better. So emergency contact.
Oh, dear Lord.
Obviously, this is a serious thing, so I'm not trying to make light of a situation. But all right, emergency contact, and we're going to require it. But here's what I'm going to do. Instead of saying in the case of emergency, who do we contact, phone number, I'm going to say, I'll add to this. Actually, I'll just replace all this and say, just in case you can't handle Brother Ricky's ghost pepper chili.
Oh my giddy aunt.
All right, so ghost pepper chili, and then I'll just put LOL. There you go. It's always fun when you put OLL, right? All right, so those are the questions we'll ask.
I think you should add that static requirement. Go down and hit your add a question.
Yeah.
Right here, and go to the title header.
Okay.
And say not responsible for Tums or antacids.
No, they can bring their own Tums. All right, we've got all our questions, Lori. We've got that built. Now a couple other options that we have too, which is super cool. So an event attendee cap. Now this particular situation, I don't want to have a capacity. I mean, if we have 400 people show up for our Fall Fest, I am psyched. But if maybe this was another type of event, maybe like a men's breakfast where we have limited availability or something like that, you can put a cap on there. So that way, once it hits that certain cap, no more individuals will be able to register for that event.
Well, and that makes sense because you have a limited amount of chili and ambulances.
That's true. Especially in a small town, there's only 3 ambulances, there you go. So no cap for this. But then I can put an event description, and then I can just say food, fun, chili, cook-off. There you go. Obviously, I could put way more and be more intentional about this, but I just want to quickly make this event to show it off. And then you can also attach an event image, which I really like. I created an image. You're going to love my photoshopping skills, except it wasn't Photoshop I used. I used Canva for this one, Lori.
Oh, how lovely.
So I've got a Fall Fest. So food, games, candy. Oh, candy. I need to put candy in there. So candy chili cook-off.
You can't. I mean, Wes, you hit my candy jar all the time, so you know it's not an option. It is a requirement.
She's not lying. I think I eat like 4 Kit Kats a day from her candy jar. All right, so we've got our event image. And then the other thing, too, I could put a registration deadline. So maybe I can say, you know what, in October, I want the deadline to be the 26th. Just because, yeah, I know, Lori, you want a deadline on there. So I'll put a deadline.
I'm a planner.
The planner in you wants to make sure you have enough food for everybody. And then I can notify a specific user, which is really handy. I'm going to notify Matt because I don't want to get all the things when they come in when people start registering. I'd rather Matt deal with all that. So whoever's handling the event, you can assign all to that person.
You can delegate.
Delegate. I like that word. It's a good way another way of saying so I don't have to do this.
Right, exactly.
So
not my job.
Yeah, delegating, and then automatically send a confirmation email to all our registrants. Yes, absolutely. I think this should just be default all the time because these days I feel like if you don't get an email saying you registered for something, you feel like you didn't register for it.
Right. I need confirmation.
So thanks for registering for the Fall Fest.
Affirmation.
You need confirmation and affirmation. So thanks for registering, blah, blah, blah. It automatically puts it in. You can customize this. Mm-hmm. I've seen some churches even take this to the next step and say, like, hey, please reach out to Tricia at such and such phone number if you do have any additional questions or whatever.
Right. I like it.
Whatever, maybe. All right, so we're going to go ahead, say that's good, and we'll close.
Wait, you forgot something.
What did I forget?
To publish it.
I did forget to publish it, so we need to publish it. So what I will do is I will go to my Fall Fest, and I will publish it. So
now, what happens now?
It's available. People can see it.
Where?
Everywhere.
Everywhere. That's the best.
So that's the next thing we need to talk about is, okay, we've created the event. We've done all the things. Now we're going to share this event, and people are going to start registering for this event. All right. So how people find this. So there's a few different ways that people can find our events when we publish them and everything. So going back to my event, and I apologize, sometimes my eyes fail me. So I go to Setup.
I'd let him borrow my glasses, but he couldn't see anyway.
I know. So go to Setup. Then I go to my View Event URL and QR code. So here's what's cool. Is I've got this QR code. This is a unique QR code for this event. So when people scan it with their phone, it's going to bring them straight to it. And then I also have this URL that people can use to get to it. Here's the cool thing about taking this URL, Lori. I'm just going to nerd out for a quick second just to show the power of ChurchTrac and how you can make your events amazing. Because I could like copy this URL. And then I could like go to my people screen. I know, I apologize. I'm flying around, everybody. But I could like go to the people screen in ChurchTrac, and then I could go to the messaging tab. I could click that text messaging, and then I can just send a text message to all my people.
Register here.
Don't forget, and then whatever I want to say, copy paste that event URL, and then people get that text message to their phone. They just click it right there in the text. Boom, shakalaka.
There you go.
They can register for the event.
And I can invite other people and forward that text.
Yes.
So you just created, what is that? It's not a spam field. It's
a chain.
There you go. A chain event. Yes. I like it. I'm old. Sorry.
So text messaging, email. There's all different kinds of ways, and plus we have a MailChimp integration. All right. So all that. Going back to the event now, Lori. So all those different ways to share it, but then there's a few other ways that we can share it. So Church Connect.
I love Church Connect.
So if you don't know what Church Connect is, you probably have been living under a rock for a while, or maybe you just haven't been checking your emails. But Church Connect is a website, and it is a church app, and a member portal, all built into one easy-to-use platform that's built into ChurchTrac. And it is for your church people to do things like give online. They can do things like submit forms, maybe if they're like visiting your church, or
access events,
register for
attendance, see everything that's going on in and outside of the church. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and so what I'm going to do here, Lori, to get really extra fancy is I'm going to add a new card to my Church Connect real quick. And I know this is getting deep into the advanced side of things, but I'm going to add a registration card here.
Wes, you're not getting deep. You're just pulling all the pieces together into a nice little puzzle.
There you go. And you know what's funny is I'm terrible at puzzles in real life, but I can do this.
You can do this. And I love puzzles, so this is really cool.
So I can have this displayed, but all right, so I'll select the event, and it's going to be the Fall Fest, and there we go.
And there's your image, too.
Pulls it up. Everything looks sweet. The more I look at this image, I'm just like, man, I'm so thankful for things like Canva and stuff because I could never make that on my own.
And we do have a Canva and how to use it and everything in our YouTube library. So that's one of those 150 videos. Just to plug.
Yeah, one of the many videos. We go way beyond the software. Where we show how to do other things to just really help grow your church and everything. All right, so I've just added that, Lori. So now if I scroll down, there it is. But I want to move it up. I want to actually move it to the top real quick. So I'm going to sort my cards real fast. And then I'm going to grab it.
Oh, you are getting deep right now.
Yeah, I am. And so I'm going to grab it. And then I'm going to, actually don't have my mouse right now, so I can't move it up. But there we go. So I've added it in there, so it's all ready to rock. And now from here, you can go ahead, open up the phone.
Voila.
So now that we've done all the sharing stuff, Lori is going to act like a church person. And I tell you what, Lori, to act like a church person, yeah, I mean, we're all church people. But so let's say, okay, you're at church. We show the QR code for our event, Lori.
Okay.
And so what I'm going to do, yeah, you'll open up the camera, and then I'm going to pull this event real fast.
Okay.
So let me go make sure I have the right event pulled up again here.
Say it's in October.
Yes, it's in October. I have to keep remembering that. I'm still living in September here. So now I will go to Setup, and I'll get that QR code for you so you can scan it. Okay, got it. So now Lori will go ahead and scan the QR code. And there she goes. All right, so now, dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, and it's asking you to download the app, which is super cool, but you don't have to do that right now.
I don't need to do that, so I can tap out of it. So then I have the event up on my screen. I have to do my CAPTCHA code and say I'm not a robot, okay?
Most days you're not.
Right. Some days it just, thank God for I can be a robot. But then when you just click on register for the event, it takes you to the event. You're like, oh, I like the image. And then you scroll down and you read some details. You're registering for the fall festival. How many people? I am going to bring 12.
12? Oh, my
12
goodness.
People. That's almost all of my family. Yes, sad, isn't it? One of the questions that actually came up in the chat, Wes, was can you register for more than 12 at a time? For the count method, you would just have to go in and register again for the extra people that you need to do.
Okay.
My first name, I am Lori. The last time I checked, I use support as my last name. My email address is...
I thought support was your middle name.
Right. It feels like it most of the time, Wes. ChurchTrac.com. If you've ever dealt with me, you know that that's really my email address. Okay? Will you be bringing chili? No.
You're not bringing chili?
Okay, I'll bring chili.
Yes, please bring chili. The more the better, because Kevin's probably going to spill some, so we need more chili.
Okay. And I'm done registering. Look at there, upcoming events. Oh, it even took me to my event screen and said I've successfully registered and showed me I'm on there.
There you go.
Look at there.
So now let's take things to the next level. Go ahead, go back to Church Connect. And you may have to sign in, and you may need my fingerprint for this since that's my phone there. So I can do that real quick for you. So we'll sign in. And now you can see upcoming events in Church Connect. And that event will be there.
Bada bing. Okay, I'm only registered for the small group. And my fall festival. Woot! Look at there. I am on there, Wes. That's awesome.
Yeah. So we're ready to go.
I think it's wonderful.
But there's still so much more to cover. Because it's way more than just sharing it and then registering.
Is.
So now, let us talk about...
Lettuce.
Lettuce. You know, lettuce is the most spiritual vegetable. Let us pray.
Absolutely.
Oh, goodness. Dad jokes. All right, so let's talk about the third aspect of all of this, and that is managing your registrants and communicating with them as well. So now we're going to go back to an event. Now, I have gone ahead, Lori, just for time's sake, because we don't have time to create a bunch of registrants. And so I actually created an event the other day, and it was identical to this one, actually. And I had everybody here at ChurchTrac register for it. So let me pull that up here in my pre-made events calendar. And there we go. So Fall Fest. Make sure I've got the right one. Yep, okay. So whenever you click on the event, so I have this Fall Fest 22 as the event that I created here, and I've already got registrants for it. So when I click that, that's going to pull up the event here, which then I can go to View Registrants now. So I'm no longer going to the setup side of things. I'm going to View Registrants. So here are the registrants that I have so far for this event. And so I can see every single registrant. as well as their status here, whether they've registered. And I also have this handy dandy number counter. So I know how many people they've registered in total for the event, which you're going to love because you like to know how many people are coming to the event.
Because I'm really OCD.
So there you go. But here's the other thing too. You can take this a step further, which I really appreciate is, there are times when you just want to send out a quick email to all the people at your church maybe about an event that you have coming up and you want them to register. Well, you can just click the add names and then you can find those names here or go from a smart list or someone with a specific tag and go that route as well and send out an email to people. Now, as far as all these people I have registered, let's say I want to maybe send them just a quick email just saying, hey, super excited for the fall festival happening tomorrow. We'll see you there at 5, whatever. I can go ahead, click send email, and then I can select, okay, send an email to an attendee with the following status that I can say registered.
I like it.
So do you want to send this message, blah, blah, blah? Yes, I do. And then from here, it automatically sends like just a message here with a link here if they need to cancel. But then I can go ahead, I can edit this, I can bold things, I can pick what type of font I want, all the good stuff.
So you mean I have email options when I'm setting up my return emails or messages?
Yeah, you don't have to go out of this in order to send out emails and stuff to the people.
I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah, so you're not jumping around all the place. It's all right there for you.
It's all in one spot. And that makes it easier because, as I said, I'm old and I get confused.
And here's the other thing, too. Like, this is handy. Like, let's say you're doing an event that requires everybody to sign some sort of, what are those things called where if you hurt yourself, it's not the church's fault?
A release form?
Yes, a release form. Thank you, Lori. I can attach that. This is really good for maybe like those youth trips where they're playing paintball.
Oh, that's a medical release.
Yeah,
you definitely need that one.
So I can put something like that on here as well for the parents. Say, hey, please fill this out before the kid comes to the event, whatever. So do that. And then on top of all this, we also have the event report. So we can click this report. And then we have this report here, which was just generated, that has all the information, so we can print this out or we can download it.
Is this available in like a CSV yet?
Not yet, but that's something we're working on. So
I like it.
That way you can open it up in your favorite spreadsheet viewer, whether it's numbers, which is like...
Yours is like that Google number thing.
Google, I don't even know what it's called. Google Sheets. Yes, I use it all the time. Yeah, so eventually that will be a feature. So we're always adding new things here at ChurchTrac. By the way, if you ever are like, man, I love ChurchTrac, but I wish it did this one specific thing, click that green help button, create a support ticket, and send us a feature request.
Just so you guys know, I actually do know the answers to the questions that he's asking. So
do you?
I do. It's I don't know the answer to this question though, Wes.
Okay, what's the question?
The question is, what is the card size for Canva creation?
So the card size for Canva creation, that's going to be the standard. You can go up to, I believe it was 800 pixels wide for Church Connect, is the widest that you can go before the system automatically starts resizing it.
1,200 pixels.
Is it 1,200? Oh, it's
pixels.
1,200. See, you knew that.
Well,
I got it wrong.
I didn't know the Canva part. I haven't gotten the opportunity to play in Canva because I'm always busy with support. So I'm going to have to take a moment and learn that.
Well, and if you are using like a software like a Canva or Photoshop or something, typically you can just create whatever size you want. But I would definitely recommend sticking with the dimensions that we have in the user guide for Church Connect.
I like CG. I don't know who CG is, but CG's...
CG says 1,200 by 1,200. There you go.
It.
Now, another thing I do want to mention, we briefly hit on this a little bit earlier, Lori, is when it comes to, okay, we've created the event from start to finish. We've sent it out. People are registering. And then we have all these people come in, they're registering.
And you need to make a change to the event.
Yes.
It's not going to happen.
That's good to know. So that is one thing that I've been asked a lot is, well, can I change the event? As soon as people start registering for that event, you can't make like serious changes to
all the details are locked in, including to the form card. And the reason for that is that we actually had a person have this issue last week. But the reason for this, Wes, is because once they've started registering, if they actually use that form field to register with and you try to delete it, then you're going to strip information from that data. Yes. So we don't give you that option. So make sure before you publish it that it's all good.
Yeah. Now, when you're managing your event, so let's go back to this registrant screen because there's a couple other things I want to show everybody that's really cool. So let's say, all right, let's say Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey registered for this event.
I'm looking forward to this chili cook-off then.
Well, unfortunately, Steve gave us a call. It was actually his assistant and said, hey, Steve can't make it. I know. I was really bummed out about it. So his status is no longer, he didn't cancel it, but his person said, just go ahead and take him off. So we're going to mark him as canceled. So that way, Steve's not there anymore. So that way, we don't expect him.
So is Steve going to get notifications anymore?
Not when I go to send out emails to my registrant. So when I go back to send email and I select who I want to send it to, if I select registered, Steve's not going to get one because he's not registered. So this is really good too, because the last thing you want to do is bother all your people that maybe couldn't make it or something. But this is also great too, because let's say.
Well, where would I change that, Wes, as a participant? So like if I'm going in and I've got my phone up here, can I go in and change that?
So you would log in Church Connect whenever you click the event. Now you don't have access to that because you're logged on my account right now and not the one you just created.
Okay.
But yeah, you just edit it right there as a registrant. So
that's cool. So I have control too.
Yes, you as a registrant have control as well. And then just want to reinforce, this is way more than just like leading up to the event and the day of. But let's say, okay, the event's done and maybe we've taken the time to make sure that we've marked people as being there for the event. So we started saying that people were there. Well, from here, I can go ahead, send an email, and then I can send an email to all my people and just let them know, hey, we're so glad that you made it to the event today. You know, let us know if you have any prayer requests, blah, blah, blah. And so it's just a really great opportunity to connect with people, not just before and during, but after the event.
See, I love that follow-up because nothing is better than saying, hey, did you survive your trip to the ER?
Brother Ricky's chili, I mean, it's pretty brutal.
It's phenomenal, literally.
So, okay, Lori, we've covered all that, basically the basics of creating events and managing them and sharing them and everything. I think we should go back and really just kind of, we're going off cuff a little bit, but I want to go back to creating another event just to show kind of the power of being able to do an event in a detailed form. So like if you're accepting payments and things.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to create an event. Let's say it is a Wednesday night. All right, let's get real crazy. We're going to get real crazy, everybody. I'm going to go clear into
next year,
and let's just say, obviously, wouldn't plan this far out, but let's say we're going to start a youth camp, and it's going to be, so youth camp. Youth camp. Spell right, Weston. Okay, so this is not an all-day event. It starts on let's say it starts on 6/23, and we get back on July 1st. I feel bad for the youth pastor. That's a long time.
That's terrible.
All right, and location, I'll just throw an annex, whatever we want to do here. We'll put it on our master calendar. Okay, now set up registration for this event. So back to the screen we saw earlier. So in this case, we do want anyone to register because we want to get anybody in our community that may not be a part of a church that maybe wants to send their kid to youth camp or something. So we'll do that. And then from here, we're going to click the detailed method.
Fair enough.
Detailed. All right, enable registration for this event. Oh, Lori, I'm so excited for this just because it's so cool the things you can do with attendee types because we didn't get to cover that in our last event we made.
Right.
All right, so attendee types and cost. So here we go. I am making a event in which I'm going to have 2 attendee types, Lori. 2 attendee types. So I'm going to say payment required, and the payment's going to be, in this case, I'm going to say payment required right then and there. And I'm going to click here for a new attendee type. And the first one is going to be camper. Camper. Spell right, Weston. All right. Attendee cost. We'll say the cost for this is $250, which...
That's dirt cheap.
I know,
it's more like $1,250.
What kind of camp are you going to?
If it's a 7-day camp, it's expensive.
Man, well, as a parent, I don't want to spend more than $250, so we're going to say this camp costs $250.
You just paid for a day.
All right, so camper, $250 is the cost for that one. Then I'm going to add a new attendee type, and we're going to call this one, not volunteer, but what's the one when you're helping out at camp? When you're a chaperone, yes. Chaperone?
We always call them counselors.
Counselor, okay.
Because we weren't
Counselor.
helping out. We were in the thick of it.
Except I can't spell counselor today, so
That's
thank
why
you,
there's the
ChurchTrac.
spell check.
And a counselor
Doesn't usually pay.
doesn't pay on this one. So we're going to say it's a $0 amount as a counselor and go from there. Okay, so here's the cool thing. We even have a couple other things you can do here, which I really like. So let's say this was like a supper or something, like a Sunday supper. You can have like a max cost, because the last thing I want to do is, like, let's say you have a family of, like in your case, 12 people, and like the cost is $5 per person or something. Well, I don't want a family paying $60 for spaghetti night at church. I want to cap it at $20 or something.
Okay, that's fair. I see that.
So you see what I'm saying? So you can actually do max registration amounts for no matter how many people sign up in total, which is a huge thing.
CG. We'll explain why that's not possible in a little bit.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's a really good question, CG. So hold that. All right. So in this case, I'm not going to do a max amount just because with camp, you really can't do that. And then you'll select the payment category. And so ahead of time, you'll probably want to have some sort of specific category that you've assigned to this. So in this case, youth ministry income. And this would actually, I don't think this would be tax deductible. So you have to,
because you're getting the camp for it.
Yeah, so you couldn't make this tax deductible.
Unless you're sponsoring someone.
That is true. So
So
very different.
if you're sponsoring a camper, that's different than if you're sending your own child to camp.
Well, we have a video called Is It Tax Deductible that we'll be coming out with soon that might already be out, and that helps answer some of these questions.
There you
So,
go.
all right, close. All right, so we've created that. And then from here, I can start adding form questions. And again, I mean, I'm just kind of throwing stuff together here just to show you the capabilities. So if I can go to the pre-built fields, I can say t-shirt size.
Because you can't go to camp without a t-shirt.
You have. I went to camp and all I got was this T-shirt. Now, hopefully they got more than a
and
T-shirt.
a renewal in Christ.
Hopefully
but
they
that's
got
okay.
saved, you know. But so T-shirt size. We want the birthday. We want to know the age of each person attending. Emergency
Spiritual
contact.
decisions.
Yes, spiritual decisions.
Allergies.
Oh, that's a big one. We need to know allergies. We need phone number, age group. I don't really need that because I'm getting birthday. I want the address. And then add those fields. Boom, there we go. And then I can just quickly say require them all. Anything else I should maybe add to this, Lori?
You need a document. You need a permission slip.
Oh, yes.
And that medical release form. So those are things that you could actually store on the person's profile, the child's profile, in the people screen, so that when the youth director has to take them to the ER,
Yes.
they have that medical release form they can pull right up on their phone.
Check out user-defined fields for
Yes,
that. Learn about
absolutely.
that. That's a good feature to use for this situation.
The
And-
mom and me is coming out. Can you tell?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, hey, I'm a new dad, but I'm going to get there one day where my little girl's going to be going to camp, and I'm going to be like, oh, man.
Well, I'm
one
also
day.
an accident looking for a place to happen, so I had to cover that too.
So there, I mean, there's the youth camp that we created, and again, the process of registering for this is simply scanning that QR code, going to that
when
URL.
I pay, where does the money show up?
That's a good question. Tell me.
So in the giving screen, that's why you assign a category, because when you use online giving to make a payment, you go to the giving screen and those contributions show up. And if they're not tax deductible, which you would set up in your giving screen categories,
Yes.
you would already know all that when you're setting up and doing your giving, and it'll just come in as they pay. So that's
But the
really
biggest
cool.
thing I need to do is make sure first you have online giving set up in order to utilize this feature, and you need to have the right category assigned.
And click on that. And so when you click on your category, it doesn't matter which category you click, there's a tax deductible option.
Yes.
So that's one that you need to.
In this case, it would probably be like, okay, I've got like, if it was VBS or something, do that. But maybe in this case, it's not tax deductible, or whatever it may be. So great. So we
But
got
use
that.
it for online giving. You need it for online giving.
So I
set
need to
that
click
up.
yes for
There you
online
go.
giving for that?
Yeah.
That's actually something I did not know. I learned something new
Yeah,
today.
if you don't have that clicked, that category will not show up in the online giving, so it wouldn't be an option.
Okay.
How about that?
Perfect. Now, Lori, let's address the ACH thing that a couple people were talking about.
Okay, so just so you guys know, I have advocated personally for this option. Okay? The problem is ACH does not give you an instant approval. So when you use a credit card and you process the credit card, it's either declined or it passes through. ACH takes three to 5 days before it even processes. So you wouldn't know if it actually went through or not, or if it was declined. So if you have an event in the future, that may not be a problem for you, but because of that time frame, we need an instant to know whether it was approved or not. So that's why ACH is not available. Now, what you could do in this instance for this registration is go in and make a payment option so they can pay with a credit card right there, or they can drop a check in the offering plate,
Yes.
and then it can be noted on that child that their camp deposit was paid, or however you're taking payments for that. So there are a couple of ways that you can get around that information, but it is important to understand that's why the ACH isn't an option, because it doesn't give you an instant notification. And I know for some people that's not a problem, CG, but that's just the way that the program has to be written, because in some cases it has to have that notification. So if you had an event that was happening in a week versus however long June is, you would need that information up front.
And we actually have...
ChemStripe does have fees. The online giving fee for payments for online giving varies depending on whether you're a 501c3 or not. And it's 2.9% plus 30 cents per credit card transaction. That does include text giving. If you're a 501c3, it's 2.2% plus 30 cents per transaction. But you have to set that up with Stripe. There is not a merchant processor out there that does not charge fees. Some are higher. I haven't found any lower.
Now, a lot of people will say, well, Zelle doesn't charge fees, but actually the banks absorb the cost of the fees. There are I know we're way on a tangent, but it's worth posting, and I'll put here the video. We did a whole video on YouTube where we talked about online giving, like what's the best online giving provider. And here's the cool thing is we don't have a dog in this, because we don't do online giving per se.
We get no money out of this.
We just integrate.
Right. It's just a convenience for you guys. The cost of doing business can be troublesome, but you have to be careful, because Zelle, PushPay, PayPal, as Wes put in this video, this is a lot to watch. But there is there's stuff on the backside of that you need to be aware of. That can be really tricky with the new laws that were implemented this year.
A lot has changed in the giving realm. So take a look at that video. That's going to give you a lot of clarity as far as how the online giving industry works. Yeah. All right. Well, we've covered a lot, Lori. We've gone through everything.
Have we? Did we cover it all?
We've covered it all. I knew this would be one of those ones where we just kind of flew through it, because registrations I just love so much, because there's so many neat things you can do. And from taking payments to being able to have just fun events like a pool party, or maybe it's like a
potluck,
cookout. Potlucks are my favorite. But let's do this. I really want, now again, if you're watching on YouTube right now live, or if you're watching on Facebook Live, you won't be able to join in on the fun and the chat and everything. But go ahead. We're going to open up the floor just for any question that you have. This is one of my favorite things with our live streams that we do. You know, a lot of times when you're watching a live stream, it's more of just kind of a one-way communication.
Right.
But we like to really make them two-way, and so that's why we're not as concerned about making this thing super polished and everything. We're more so concerned about giving you really good content that's going to help your ministry be able to build the body of Christ. So in the chat, let us know any questions you have for event registrations. We're only talking about registrations today. If you start getting off tangents, I'm going to tell you to reach out to our support team, which, by the way, if you haven't talked to our support team yet and you do have any questions, they're super awesome. Lori's a support manager right here in the flesh. They answer your questions really quick. Most of the time I see those support tickets answered in less than 30 minutes, Lori. It's pretty wild.
Depends on the volume, but we have a big enough team at this point where we try to keep it rolling. I will tell you that sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but it also depends on the question that's being asked. So, you know, we appreciate the help with that.
And if you're the kind of person, like I'm really the kind of person, I just watch videos. So again, that YouTube channel, if you haven't already seen it, but that's definitely a great place to learn all the things. And I see all the questions, they are coming in. So this is really great. So Lori, I'm just going to start reading off some of these questions, and we'll try to hit every single one of these questions, at least within the time that we've got. And if we don't get to your question, just reach out to us, create a support ticket, and we'll answer it super fast. All right. Can one of you send me some Bono's bar? Oh gosh, that's funny.
That's what I said. Wes will get right on that.
Maybe we'll have to get you something there, Chad. All right, so how do you do live registrations, such as a paid event, and can they show up at the event and register and pay on the spot? So live registrations, so maybe like someone shows up for the event that you've got going on, and you want to register for that right then and there.
I mean, I guess they could still do that, but they would still basically go through the same process that you're doing. The reason that we don't have a swipe on-site box is because that changes the onus of the liability.
It does.
If the person keeps their credit card and enters that information themselves, then the onus is on the person. But if the church has a swipe box and you take their card from them and swipe it, now it's your problem if something goes wrong with that transaction. So we try to keep that in the hands of the giver or the donor, and that way it relieves the church from that level of liability. So they could still go on as long as your event that you have set up, Wes, has an expiration date that's for the day out from the event itself. You could do live registrations right there. It'd be the same process. Pick up their phone, scan the QR code, let them do it. And the cool thing is, if you have a QR code displayed in multiple places, if they scan that, they can do it right there and then just show their payment and walk on through or check in.
And one thing I've seen a lot of churches do, beyond just like setting up like a QR code right there at the registration table for people to do it from their phone, is they'll have a couple iPads or whatever tablets set up.
For people to log in
and then people can just do the registration because they'll have that tablet right there on Church Connect ready to go at the event. So there are many ways you can do it that way, and it's super fast.
Right. You saw how fast that I did that. So what, 18 seconds? To fill out the forms. As long as you know your own personal information, you're usually pretty good to go.
Yeah. Now, if you don't know your own personal information, if you have to maybe like look up what's my name again, it may take you a minute, but yeah. So
remember your email address.
Yeah. That's one thing we do get asked too is like, can you make event registrations without emails? The way we have it built, you have to have some sort of email address hooked to it. Now, if you are in a situation where you're wanting to do something that's super, super basic, like right then and there, you can use something like a form card in Church Connect. It's not going to give you all of the features and abilities that you would have with registrations, but if you are in a situation where you are just like, man, I just want to ask like 3 questions and do it right then and there at the event just to get info, that's probably going to be a better use of that. But when it comes to event planning, being able to send out things to registrants, taking payment, stuff like that, really got to utilize registrations for that.
You really do. You really do. Beverly, the video will be available usually by Friday afternoon at the latest. Typically. And
if you're watching this at a later time, just a reminder, support, just get in touch with us if you have any questions. We're really easy to get in touch with. All right.
CG, you can create a private event. That's where you just do Church Connect users. Or, and this is something that Wes did not show you, but if you go to the event screen, Wes, you can actually add names. So, for example, you are going to have a pastor's meeting or a leadership meeting, and you just wanted to invite the people directly. So you set up the event. You don't have to publish that event. For them to be able to see it, though, you want to.
So view registrants.
So where it says add names.
Yeah, and I'll zoom in just in case someone's on a small device. Sorry.
When you add names, you can choose a smart list or individual names. So you can invite people to an event without having to go through an entire registration process. But if the event is not published, they won't be able to see it.
And this is a really cool thing. And I'd in fact encourage a lot of ministries to do this. If you already have smart lists of all your members and everything, and you're wanting to invite all your members, go ahead. Like you can click add names. We're gonna get real crazy here. I'm gonna say from the smart list, and we're gonna say everyone. So everyone in my database, add names.
Are you nuts?
I'm adding them all, Lori. So click add all names. And I might have actually, I think my internet just went out of my computer there for a brief moment. So I'll have to refresh the screen. There we go. All right, so I've got all these names added. So then what I can do from here, so long list of names, I can send an email and I can say everyone who has been added. So yes, I want to send an email. So then create my email and say, hello everybody, we're having our event coming up, blah, blah, blah. Click here to register, and there you go.
There you go.
So I can send out that email. And a lot of churches typically do this in tandem with sending out text messages, using our text messaging feature, as well as doing a multitude of like putting things on QR codes, Facebook, Instagram, the whole thing.
Go. Now, I do want to address a question that I get asked often is, can you convert a registration event to an attendance event? Yes, you can. However, there is a caveat there.
Okay.
If you have people that are from the community that are not part of your ChurchTrac database, they will not show up in that attendance event simply because they're not in the database.
Yes.
They have simply registered. It's basically like you have just a piece of paper for them, and you're like in VBS, the old-fashioned VBS cards where you pull them out and you check them in and put them back.
Mm-hmm.
You're too young to remember that probably.
No, I know what you're talking about.
But that's why a public event, one that's open to anyone, is not ideal for an attendance event, because those that are not part of your database will not be part of that attendance that you're taking.
Okay.
To get around that, you can print that event report with all those people's names on it, and then check them off that way. But that was a question that was asked earlier: can you convert an event to an attendance event? We do get that a lot in support, but that's the reason that it doesn't necessarily work, is because if I don't go to the church and I'm not in the database, I've only filled out a form, there's no place to attend me. Like, where are you checking me off?
Now you got my wheels turning here, and I think about another thing that I get asked all the time is, okay, if someone registers for my event, is that going to count towards my name allotment in ChurchTrac and everything? No, unless you've added them to your people screen, it's not counting towards your name allotment. And so that way you can have as many register. And in fact, it's pretty common for us to have churches that are on like the 500 name tier that may have like 400 names in their database, but they have some huge community event where they have like 400, 500 people register that aren't even a part of the church, especially if they're doing like a soup kitchen or something like that. So many different cool things.
So many different cool things.
Other questions, Lori, that we can address?
Melanie asked, are there pre-made cards, or do you create your own? Wes, the page that he showed you guys, that is Wes's page that he built, and it's amazing.
Oh, yes.
He did an amazing job. All of the cards, there are a few that are like that you can see. All of the, you do post your potential church out there for people to look at.
And in fact, I can post it in the chat as well for everybody.
I think that would be great.
Yeah.
But they are cards that Wes has built because we want you to personalize your page. This is basically a substitution for your web page, and we want you to make it as personal as possible.
And so I'll throw this URL here. And it's, by the way, if you go to our Facebook group and everything, you can see other people's Church Connect pages to get some inspiration. But there's our official one as well. Our team's just throwing up the thing for the Facebook group. They're on it. Any other questions, Lori?
Yes. Angel in Texas, what would be the easiest way to set up for families with multiple kids to register for VBS? This is a great question, and we did this year for lots of churches, but the registration event allows you to set up that form.
Yes.
It's really, really cool. I personally prefer that they go in and register. If you're taking attendance at VBS, make them create a Church Connect profile. Yes, this does add them to your database, but then the parent can go in and fill out that form for multiple children. If you're not taking attendance in ChurchTrac, create the event, make it open to anyone, create your VBS form where the parent can fill it out. They have to provide that information, especially if Jane Doe has 3 kids of her own, but she's also bringing 3 kids from the neighborhood. Your church has to know that information of the children, their ages, their t-shirt sizes, who their emergency contact number is. So you create the form, as Wes is showing you, based on the information you need to glean to keep your kids as safe as possible.
And one really popular thing I've seen a lot of churches do, Lori, is so when they'll add a question and they'll do like, they'll have the attendee type and everything is one way of doing it, but then they'll ask like, are you a parent and stuff? So you really can make it to where you have one form that can handle
that accommodates everything.
Yeah, so it just really comes down to what you need it to do. And if you want to get deeper into that and just have questions on, hey, what are the best ways to do use the registrations for this specific type of event, whatever it may be.
Right.
Just let our team know. We'll help you out with that and walk you through the process.
Our Facebook group has a lot of good options there too, because
Yeah.
I was looking at that during the summer when people were doing VBS, and wow, some of the things that they did.
People posting screenshots
Oh
of
my
like,
God,
oh,
it was
here's
amazing.
my form. Or
Yeah.
people are posting like URLs right to
Right
the
to-
event so
it's
they
so
can see it.
cool.
Yeah. So really great community there. That Facebook community has just blossomed into something that's so cool to watch. Other churches from all around the world helping each
All
other.
around the world.
Not only use the software, but just do ministry in general.
Absolutely, absolutely. So it's so encouraging. It's a great place to go, and when you walk away, you feel like you have really been built up. It's awesome.
Yeah. Any other questions here?
What is you need volunteers for an event? Is that done via event what if you need volunteers for an event?
Oh, okay.
I really would. I mean, you could have people sign up as volunteers that way.
Yeah.
But you would have to move your deadline back to make sure that you have enough volunteers before you start registering for the event itself. Because if you need 25 people and you only have 5 that sign up, you're going to have to solicit other means of getting those volunteers in place. Don't you agree?
It really comes down to the complexity of your event and everything,
yeah.
because if it's something in which you have like multiple roles and all these things going on, I would recommend personally utilizing the worship and scheduling side of ChurchTrac. And that goes way beyond just like, scheduling a worship leader and a band and all that. But
Right.
you can like go ahead, create teams for a specific event.
Absolutely.
And in fact, I've worked with a lot of churches, they'll use that for exactly that. And one church had a garage sale they did, I think it was twice a year. And so they had all their roles for that. And then they would send out the scheduling requests and everything. If you have not checked that out, it's ChurchTrac Plus. So you have to be using ChurchTrac Plus to take advantage of the worship and scheduling side of things, but that's a super cool tool, all built in. You don't have the theme of ChurchTrac here is we have all these things built into the software, so you're not having to use a bunch of different apps and things to hodgepodge together to make it work. It's all right there in ChurchTrac for you. All right, any other questions, or is that pretty much it?
Well, Chad has a really good question, and I'm going to let you take this one.
Okay.
After an event, the people who registered who are not part of your church, does that event keep their information for further follow-up after the event?
Yeah. Unless you delete the event, Chad, that
It stays there
information
indefinitely.
Yeah, it's always going to be there at any time. You can pull up that report, and and hopefully one day it'll be a CSV report too.
Chad is also viewing your staff section on potential.
Oh,
church.
goodness. Yeah, and by the way, if you're looking at the potential church, that's kind of like our playground here at ChurchTrac for when we're just testing out fun things and wanting to create stuff. So sometimes you'll see some pretty ridiculous things on there, like having Chuck Norris as your senior pastor. So there you go. Oh, man. Well, this has been fun. We love having fun doing these things. Lori, I'm so glad that you were able to take the time of your busy schedule, helping the team answer all the support tickets and everything, to be able to just talk about registrations. Because
this is one of my favorite features, Wes. I love registration.
Well, and it's one of those features I feel like a lot of churches, they use it in seasons. And
yeah.
So like coming up to the fall season and Christmas time and everything, they really ramp things up, and then things slow down for a bit, but then they ramp it back up again
right.
for summer and stuff. So definitely don't wait till you're a few weeks away from this big event to try to learn how to use this. Go ahead, dive into this, learn all the things, and don't hesitate to reach out to our team. You may even get to talk to the one and only Lori here.
God definitely broke that mold, thank you.
Oh, man. Well, you all have a fantastic rest of your day, rest of your week. And if you're watching at a later time, just check out our support channel. Reach out to us if you need help. Talk to you soon.
Bye.